The starship Aurora drifted silently through space as it approached the mysterious planet Zenith. Kira Harper stood at the observation window, her green eyes wide with wonder. This was her first major mission as lead xenobiologist, and the responsibility weighed heavily on her shoulders. Zenith glowed with swirls of purple and blue against the black backdrop of space. The planet had been sending strange signals for months, signals that hinted at intelligent life. The Aurora had been sent to investigate and make first contact if possible. Captain Laura Wright called the team to the briefing room. Kira walked quickly through the sleek corridors of the ship, her heart beating faster with each step. She had trained her whole life for this moment, the chance to study truly alien life forms, to be the first human to document their biology and behavior. The briefing room was already full when she arrived. The captain stood at the front, her gray uniform crisp and perfect. Beside her stood Olivia Martinez, the head of security, her dark eyes scanning the room with practiced caution. Beth Morgan, the communications specialist, sat near the front, her fingers tapping nervously on her tablet. "Everyone settle down, please," said Captain Wright, her voice firm, but kind. "We will be entering Zenith orbit in approximately 12 hours. Our mission is clear. Observe, make peaceful contact if possible, and gather information. No unnecessary risks." She nodded toward Kira. "Your team will lead the first ground expedition. Dr. Harper, tell us what we know." So far, Kira stood and moved to the front of the room. She had reviewed all the data countless times, but still felt butterflies in her stomach as all eyes turned to her. From what we can tell, Zenith has an oxygen-rich atmosphere similar to Earth but with higher levels of nitrogen. The gravity is about 80% of Earth's, which will make movement easier for us. The temperature in the region we're landing is moderate, comparable to a mild spring day on Earth. She touched her tablet, and a hologram appeared showing strange formations and readings. "The signals are coming from this region. We believe they indicate a settlement of some kind. The patterns suggest a language, but not random noise. These beings, whoever they are trying to communicate." Olivia raised her hand. "What about potential threats?" Kira nodded, understanding the security chief's concern. "We don't know much about the inhabitants, but the signals contain no aggressive patterns. They seem more like invitations than warnings. That said, we should proceed with caution." The meeting continued as they discussed landing procedures, equipment needs, and emergency protocols. By the time they finished, Kira felt both exhausted and exhilarated. They were really doing this. Making first contact with an alien civilization back in her quarters, Kira reviewed her personal gear. Her scanner, a compact device that could analyze biological samples instantly, a small collection kit for specimens, a medical kit designed to treat human injuries in alien environments, and most importantly, her notebook, the old-fashioned paper kind. Her grandmother had given it to her before the mission. "Technology fails, but this won't," she had said with a smile. Kira ran, her fingers over the smooth cover. She had always been fascinated by other worlds, by the possibility of life beyond Earth. As a child, she had spent hours looking up at the stars, wondering what strange beings might be looking back. Her parents, both scientists, had encouraged her curiosity, buying her telescopes and biology kits. She had graduated top of her class at the Space Academy, her thesis on potential alien biology winning several awards. Now she was here, about to discover if her theories were correct. The ship shuddered slightly as it entered Zenith's orbit. Kira moved back to the observation window, watching as the planet grew larger. The swirling colors were even more beautiful up close. She could make out continents and oceans, though they looked nothing like Earth's. The land was dark purple while the seas glowed. A soft blue. Captain Wright's voice came over the intercom. "All landing team members report to Shuttle Bay 1 in 30 minutes. Prepare for descent." Kira gathered her gear, double-checking everything. She put on her expedition suit, a lightweight protective garment designed to shield against unknown pathogens while maintaining comfort. She looked at herself in the mirror, her auburn hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, her face serious and determined. "You can do this," she whispered to herself. "This is what you were born for." The shuttle bay was bustling with activity when she arrived. The small exploration vessel was being prepared for launch. Technicians checked systems. While the team loaded equipment, Olivia was inspecting weapons, hoping they wouldn't be necessary. Beth was running final tests on her translation equipment. The small team boarded the shuttle, strapping themselves into the padded seats. Kira sat near the window, wanting to see everything as they descended. Captain Wright would remain on the Aurora, monitoring their progress from orbit. The shuttle pilot, Amy Chen, began the launch sequence. Her hands moved confidently over the controls as the bay doors opened, revealing the planet below. "Everyone ready?" asked Amy, her voice steady. "This is going to be one for the history books." The shuttle detached from the Aurora and began its descent through Zenith's atmosphere. The ride was surprisingly smooth, only occasional turbulence shaking the small craft. Kira watched in amazement as they passed through layers of colorful clouds. Finally, they broke through the cloud cover and Kira gasped. The landscape below was unlike anything she had ever seen. Purple grass-like plants swayed in the breeze. Crystal formations jutted from the ground, reflecting light in dazzling patterns. 2 moons hung in the orange sky, looking close enough to touch. The air smelled sweet when they finally stepped out of the shuttle. Like cinnamon and honey, Kira immediately began taking readings. The atmosphere was breathable, just as their scans had suggested. The temperature was perfect, not too hot or cold. "This way," said Olivia, pointing toward a collection of structures. "In the distance, that's where the signals are coming from." The team moved carefully through the alien landscape, Kira stopping occasionally to examine interesting plants or small creatures that scurried away at their approach. Everything was so different, yet there were patterns that reminded her of Earth life forms. The convergent evolution suggested by these similarities fascinated her. As they approached the settlement, they saw movement. Tall figures with blue skin watching them from a distance. Kira felt her pulse quicken. This was it. First contact with an intelligent alien species, the moment that would change human history forever. The blue-skinned beings stood perfectly still, watching the humans with large almond-shaped eyes. Kira estimated they were about 7 feet tall, with slender bodies and 4 arms that seemed to move with fluid grace. Their skin had a shimmering quality that reminded her of fish scales catching sunlight. "Stop here," said Olivia, her hand resting on her weapon. "We wait for them to make the first move." Beth worked frantically with her translation device, trying to pick up any communication between the aliens. The beings seemed to be speaking to each other, though the sounds were unlike any human language, musical and flowing with clicks and whistles mixed in. One of the aliens stepped forward, clearly different from the others. This one wore an elaborate garment embedded with crystals that caught the light and scattered it in rainbow patterns. The markings on her neck were more intricate, suggesting importance or rank. "I think that's their leader," whispered Beth. "The sounds she's making are different." More authoritative, Kira nodded, taking a deep breath. She stepped forward despite Olivia's warning gesture. Someone had to make the first move, and as the xenobiologist, she felt it was her responsibility. The alien leader watched her approach, with those strange eyes that seemed to see right through her. Kira stopped a respectful distance away and placed her hand over her heart, then bowed slightly. She had studied first contact protocols extensively, and this gesture was considered universally non-threatening. To her surprise, the alien mimicked the gesture perfectly, placing one of her 4 hands over where her heart might be and bowing. Then she did something unexpected. She opened her arms wide in what appeared to be an invitation. Kira hesitated, her mind racing through possible interpretations. Many species across the galaxy used embraces as greeting, though the forms varied widely. Was this what the alien was suggesting? She decided to take the risk, stepping forward. Kira gently wrapped her arms around the alien in a brief hug, then stepped back with a smile. The reaction was immediate and shocking. The leader froze, her skin changing from blue to deep purple. Her eyes widened and she made a sound like breaking glass. The other aliens began making similar sounds, backing away from the humans. Olivia raised her weapon, but Kira frantically signaled her to stop. Whatever was happening, they needed to de-escalate, not make things worse. Beth finally got her translator working. "Well, enough to catch fragments of what the aliens were saying. "We never touch bodies, only hands," she whispered to Kira. "Body touches for." She struggled with the translation. Something like mates or family. Only Kira felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. She had just performed what might be the equivalent of a deeply intimate act with the leader of an alien civilization. The diplomatic implications were potentially catastrophic. She might have just ruined humanity's first contact with an advanced species. The alien leader remained frozen, her skin slowly returning to its normal blue. She raised one hand, silencing the commotion among her people. Then, to everyone's surprise, she laughed. The sound resembled wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The translator sputtered to life, catching the leader's words. "You humans are strange creatures indeed. To offer such intimacy to strangers. How do you know I would not harm you?" Kira swallowed hard. "I meant no offense. We use this gesture as a sign of friendship among my people. I did not know it had a different meaning for yours." The alien moved closer, studying Kira with those large eyes. "Your honesty is refreshing. In our culture, such touch is reserved for those we trust completely. It has been 500 cycles since anyone touched me in such a way." The translator provided the alien's name, Tazara. She was indeed their leader, what humans might call a queen or president, though neither term quite fit. Tazara turned to her people and spoke rapidly. The translator could only catch pieces, but the message seemed clear. This misunderstanding would not ruin the potential alliance as tensions eased. Tazara invited the humans into the settlement. The structures were made of the same crystal material they had seen throughout the landscape, but formed into elegant spiraling towers connected by arched bridges. The whole city seemed to glow from within, changing colors subtly as they passed. The humans learned that the Zini, as they called themselves, communicated, not just through words, but through subtle color changes in their skin. Emotions were visible to them in ways humans could never hide. Deception was virtually impossible in their society, which explained their initial shock at Kira's gesture. Humans were mysterious creatures who could say one thing while feeling another. Tazara led them to a central structure larger than the others. Inside was a circular room with a pool of glowing liquid in the center. Other Zini sat around it in what appeared to be some kind of council meeting. They looked up as the group entered, their skin rippling with colors that reflected their curiosity and caution. "These are the visitors from beyond the stars," announced Tazara. "They come in peace. Though their customs are strange," she gestured toward Kira. "This one has honored me with the touch of family." The council members rippled with what the translator identified as surprise. One stood up taller than the others, with deep green markings around his eyes. "How do we know they can be trusted? Their bodies hide their feelings, their words could be false." Kira stepped forward, understanding the concern. "Your caution is wise. We are different from you, but we come to learn, not to harm. We seek knowledge and friendship, nothing more." Beth translated her words as best she could. The council member did not seem convinced, but sat down at a gesture from Tazara. "We will learn each other." "Slowly," said Tazara. "The misunderstanding with the touching has shown us both how different our ways are, yet it has also shown courage. The courage to reach across that difference." The meeting continued as both sides shared basic information. The Zini had been watching the stars for centuries, knowing they were not alone. They had developed technology based on the crystals that grew abundantly on their planet. These crystals could store and transmit energy and information much like human computers, but far more efficient. As the day progressed, Kira found herself sitting with Tazara. As the twin moons rose higher in the sky, the Zini leader seemed fascinated by human customs, especially the concept of physical contact as casual greeting. "Your mistake may have been fortunate," Tazara said, her skin rippling with gentle blue waves that the translator identified as amusement. "Our people have always been cautious with outsiders, but your willingness to touch, to connect without fear, that shows a courage we respect." Kira smiled. "Still, I wish I had known. I could have prepared better. Studied your customs." Tazara made a gesture with her lower arms that seemed dismissive. "No amount of study would have prepared you completely. First meetings are always filled with misunderstandings. That is how we learn. Tell me about your world, your people. Why do you travel so far from home? As Kira described Earth and human society, she noticed how intently Tazara listened, asking questions that showed remarkable insight. The Zini leader was particularly interested in human art, music, and literature. The concept of creating beauty for its own sake seemed to resonate deeply with her. Night fell completely, but the crystal city glowed with inner light illuminating their conversation. The rest of the human team had been shown to guest quarters, but Kira and Tazara continued talking, exchanging stories and ideas, discovering surprising similarities between their peoples, despite their obvious differences. Tomorrow, said Tazara, as they finally prepared to part, you will meet our scientists. They have many questions, as I am sure you do. But tonight let us both rest and reflect on this historic day. Kira nodded, feeling the exhaustion of the day catching up with her. Thank you for your understanding. Your patience has turned an awkward moment into the beginning of friendship. Tazara placed one hand near but not touching Kira, and what she now understood was the proper Zini greeting between equals. Perhaps one day we will be family after all. Then we can touch freely as your people do. Morning on Zenith arrived with a burst of golden light as the planet's sun crested the horizon. The crystal city captured the light, fracturing it into rainbows that danced across the walls. Kira woke feeling refreshed, despite the strange gravity and alien surroundings. She had slept in a guest chamber designed for visitors, a rare thing since the Zini seldom received outsiders. Beth and Olivia were already awake, discussing the day ahead over a breakfast of fruit provided by their hosts. The fruit looked strange with purple skin and blue flesh, but scans showed it was safe for human consumption, and tasted surprisingly like peaches. So what do we know about these Zini? So far, asked Olivia, biting into the alien fruit. Her security training made her naturally cautious. Beth checked her translator, which had been processing language data all night. Their society appears to be based on complete transparency. Their skin colors reveal their emotions, making deception nearly impossible. It's why they find us so strange we can hide what we're feeling. Kira nodded. Think how different their whole civilization must be without the ability to lie. Politics, business, personal relationships all would function on completely different principles. Soft chime sounded and a young Zini appeared at the entrance to their chamber. Tazara requests your presence at the knowledge pool when you are ready, said the messenger, her skin a soft pink that the translator interpreted as respectful excitement. The humans followed their guide through the winding crystal pathways of the city. In daylight, they could see how the entire settlement was designed to work with the natural landscape rather than against it. Buildings curved around ancient trees, and bridges arched over flowing streams. Nothing was cut or broken to make way for construction. Instead, the Zini had adapted their architecture to enhance the natural beauty. The knowledge pool was located in a large dome at the center of the city. When they entered, Kira gasped in amazement. The circular pool she had seen yesterday was now alive with swirling colors and patterns. Zini scientists stood around it, their four hands moving in complex gestures that seemed to control the display. Tazara greeted them with a formal bow. Welcome to our greatest treasure. The knowledge pool contains the collected wisdom of our people for thousands of cycles. How does it work? Asked Kira, moving closer to the edge, fascinated by the swirling patterns. Tazara gestured to one of the scientists who stepped forward. His skin was pale, almost white, with blue markings around his eyes that gave him a scholarly appearance. The pool contains living crystals, explained the scientist, his words translated by Beth's device. They absorb and store information. When properly stimulated, they can display this information as images, sound, or even sensory impressions. The scientist demonstrated dipping his hands into the glowing liquid and making a series of gestures. The pool responded with a burst of color that resolved into a three-dimensional image of what appeared to be Zenith. From space, Remarkable whispered, Kira, it's like a biological computer. The scientist nodded, his skin rippling with pleasure at her understanding. We call it the living memory. It grows and learns just as we do. Each generation adds to its knowledge. Today we would like to share some of this knowledge with you, and perhaps add your knowledge to ours. For the next several hours, the humans and Zini exchanged information. Kira shared basic details about Earth, its ecosystems, human biology, and society. She was careful not to reveal too much about human technology or defenses, not out of distrust, but following standard first contact protocols. The Zini seemed to understand this caution and respected it. In return, the Zini scientists showed them incredible things through the knowledge pool, images of Zenith throughout its history, the evolution of the Zini people, and their unique relationship with the crystal life forms that dominated their planet. Unlike Earth, where humans had often conquered nature, the Zini had developed a symbiotic relationship with their environment. Most fascinating to Kira was their explanation of the Zini biology. Their forearms had evolved for climbing the crystal formations that served as their original homes. Their transparent skin allowed them to photosynthesize sunlight as a secondary energy source. Though they still ate food, their color-changing ability had developed as a way to communicate with the crystal life forms, which responded to different light wavelengths as the scientific exchange continued. Olivia received a call from the Aurora captain. Wright wanted an update. Excusing herself, she stepped outside to report their findings. So far, the contact had been peaceful and productive beyond anyone's expectations. Meanwhile, Beth was making remarkable progress with the language. She discovered that Zini communication was more complex than they had initially realized. Besides spoken words and color changes, they used subtle movements of their forehands to add layers of meaning. Their language had over 30 words for different types of truth, but no word that directly translated as lie. When they broke for a rest period, Tazara invited Kira to walk with her through the garden district of the city. As they walked, Tazara seemed troubled. Her skin occasionally flashing dark purple. Is something wrong? Asked. Kira, noticing the color changes, Tazara was quiet for a moment before responding. Not all my people are pleased with your presence here. The Elder Council particularly. Elder Mazor is concerned about what your arrival might mean for our way of life. Kira nodded, understanding. Our appearance must be very disruptive. We come from beyond your world with different ways, different ideas. I can see how that would be frightening. Tazara's skin lightened slightly. You understand, then? Most visitors would be defensive, but you see it from our perspective, that is rare. They continued walking through gardens filled with strange yet beautiful plants. Some seemed to respond to their presence, leaves and stems bending toward them as they passed. Tazara explained that many plants on Zenith had developed limited consciousness, a type of awareness that allowed them to interact with the more intelligent species. I have made a decision, said Tazara, stopping near a fountain that flowed with water that sparkled like liquid diamonds. I wish to form a bond of friendship between our peoples, not just diplomatic exchanges, but true understanding. To do this, I would like to share the memory meld with you. Kira looked confused. The memory meld is our most sacred form of connection, explained Tazara. Through the knowledge pool, we can share memories directly, mind to mind. It is usually reserved for family or life partners, but in special cases for important alliances, it can be offered to outsiders. It would allow us to truly understand each other beyond words. The implications were enormous. Such an exchange would be unprecedented in human history. Direct sharing of memories across species. The scientific value alone was incalculable. But there were risks, too. What exactly would this involve? Asked Kira cautiously. We would both place our hands in the knowledge pool while focusing on the memories we wish to share, explained Tazara. The living crystals act as a bridge between minds. You would experience my memories, as if they were your own, and I would experience yours. And what memories would we share? Tazara gestured with her upper arms in what Kira had come to recognize as thoughtfulness. I would share the history of my people, our values, our hopes, for you, perhaps memories that show the true nature of humanity. Your intentions toward us, Kira considered carefully. Such an exchange would be a powerful symbol of trust, but she would need authorization. She couldn't make such a decision alone. I need to discuss this with my captain, she said finally. It is beyond my authority to agree to such an important step, but personally I would be honored by such trust. Tazara's skin glowed with warm gold tones. Understanding, I will await your decision. The ceremony would take place tomorrow at the rising of the dual moons if you agree. As they returned to the central city, Kira saw Olivia waiting for her with a serious expression. Captain wants to speak with you directly, she said. There are developments. Kira felt a flutter of concern. Developments could mean many things, not all of them good. She followed Olivia to their shuttle where a secure communication line to the Aurora had been established. Captain Wright's face appeared on the screen, her expression grave. Dr. Harper, she said formally, we have detected another ship entering the Zenith system. It's not one of ours. Not one of ours, repeated Kira, feeling her stomach tighten with anxiety. Who then? Another Earth ship. Captain Wright shook her head. No, it's not human at all. The design is completely foreign to any known species in our database. It's large, heavily armored, and not responding to hails. We detect weapon systems powering up. Kira glanced toward the Crystal City, where she had just been walking with Tazara. Should we warn the Zeni? The captain nodded. That was my next point. We need to know if they recognize this ship. Are these friends of theirs enemies? We need information fast, Dr. Harper, before we decide how to proceed. I'll speak with Tazara immediately, said Kira. She seems to trust me. Be careful, ordered the captain. We don't know what's happening yet. This could change everything. Keep your emergency beacon active at all times. I'll have a security team standing by. The transmission ended, and Kira turned to Olivia. We need to find Tazara now. They hurried back to the city, Beth joining them along the way. Kira explained the situation as they walked. The peaceful first contact mission had suddenly become much more complicated. They found Tazara in the council chamber, deep in discussion with several elders. The Zeni fell silent as the humans entered. Kira noticed immediately that something was wrong. Tazara's skin had darkened to a deep blue with flashes of red around the edges, a color combination they hadn't seen before. Tazara, we need to talk, said Kira urgently. Our ship has detected another vessel entering your system. Is it one of yours? The change in Tazara's demeanor was immediate. Her skin paled to almost white fear. The elder next to her, the one Kira recognized as Mazor, began speaking rapidly, his skin flashing warning colors. The translator struggled to keep up. They have found us again after all these cycles. The destroyers have returned. Destroyers, asked Olivia, her hand moving instinctively to her weapon. Who are they? Tazara composed herself with visible effort, gathering dignity around her like a cloak. The wreck, she said simply. They are the reason we hide our world behind the nebula. They are the reason we fear outsiders. Mazor spoke again, his voice harsh. The humans have led them here. Their signals, their ship, blazing through space, without care. The Vrek follow the trail of technology like predators. No, said Tazara firmly. We do not know this. We cannot blame our new friends. But Kira was already feeling the weight of possibility. Could they have accidentally led these Vrek to Zenith? Had their mission of peace inadvertently brought danger? Tell us about the Vrek, she asked. Who are they? What do they want? Tazara gestured toward the knowledge pool. Let me show you. The council chamber darkened as images appeared above the glowing liquid. The images showed another alien species, tall and reptilian, with armored skin and eyes that glowed red with augmented technology. Their ships were angular and black, bristling with weapons. The Vrek are conquerors, explained Tazara. They travel from world to world, taking what they want. Resources, technology, slaves. They are particularly interested in crystal technology, which they cannot replicate. They attacked us 500 cycles ago, nearly destroyed our civilization. We retreated, hiding our world, masking our signals. We thought we were safe. The implications hit Kira like a physical blow. Their mission, the Aurora breaking through the nebula that had hidden Zenith, sending signals trying to communicate, had they unwittingly exposed the Zeni to their ancient enemy. What can we do? Asked Kira. How can we help? Mazor made a dismissive gesture. You have done enough, human. The danger is here because of you. But Tazara raised her hand, silencing him. Perhaps it is providence, she said. The humans have ships, weapons, technology we lack. They might be able to help us where we could not help ourselves. A new voice entered the conversation. A tall Zini, wearing what appeared to be some kind of military uniform, stepped forward. We have defenses, honored Tazara. The crystal shields, the guardian beasts. They protected us before. Tazara nodded. But barely Varen, and the Vrek will have improved their weapons since then, just as we have improved our defenses. But not enough. I fear. She turned to Kira. Would your people help us? Would they stand with the Zini against the Vrek? Kira felt the weight of the question. It went far beyond her authority. A decision with potential interstellar consequences. She needed to consult with Captain Wright with Earth Command. But looking at Tazara, at the fear and hope mingled in those alien eyes, she knew what she wanted the answer to. I need to speak with my captain, she said. But I believe we would not abandon you to face this threat alone. That is not our way. Olivia sent an urgent message to the Aurora requesting instructions. Meanwhile, the Zini began preparations. Energy barriers shimmered into existence around the city. Crystal towers that had seemed purely decorative began to glow with power. Kira realized they were defensive structures hidden in plain sight. Captain Wright responded quickly, her face grave on the communication screen. We've been monitoring the alien vessel. It's definitely hostile. Dr. Harper's scans show weapons locks on both us and the planet's surface. They haven't fired yet, but they're in attack position. Command has authorized defensive measures to protect both our people and the Zini. Pending formal alliance. Relief flooded through Kira. So you'll help them within limits, said the captain. The Aurora is primarily a research vessel, not a warship. We have defensive capabilities, but we're not equipped for a major battle. I've sent a distress call to Earth Fleet, but it will take time for reinforcements to arrive. We need to buy that time. What can we do? Asked Kira. Captain Wright looked thoughtful. The Zini must have survived the previous attack. They must have defenses strategies. We need to coordinate with them. If we can combine our shield technologies with theirs, we might be able to hold off the Vrek until help arrives. Kira turned to Tazara, who had been listening. Our captain suggests combining our defensive technologies, working together to hold off the Vrek until more of our ships can arrive. Tazara conferred, quickly with her military advisors, her skin shifting through shades of blue and purple as they discussed options. Finally, she turned back to Kira. The crystal shields can be calibrated to work with your energy fields, she said. But the calibration requires a deep understanding of both technologies. The memory meld I proposed earlier. It would allow me to understand your shield technology instantly, and you to understand ours. Kira glanced at Olivia, who looked skeptical. It's a security risk, she pointed out. Earth shield technology is classified, but Kira saw the logic. If the meld truly allowed direct transfer of knowledge, it could save precious time. Time they might not have will do it, she said firmly. I'll take responsibility, Captain Wright. Can decide what information I can share, but the principle of the shield should be enough. Tazara nodded, her skin lightening with relief. We must hurry. The Vrek will not wait long before attacking. The preparations were made quickly. The knowledge pool was specially calibrated for the meld procedure. Kira received clearance from Captain Wright to share basic shield principles, but nothing more sensitive. The captain understood the desperate situation they faced. The ceremony took place in the central chamber. The council members gathered around the pool, their skin colors subdued and serious. Kira stood opposite Tazara, both looking down into the swirling colors of the knowledge pool. Are you ready? Asked. Tazara. Kira nodded despite her nervousness. What do I need to do? Focus on the memories you wish to share, said Tazara. The technical understanding of your shields. The pool will find them and bridge our minds together. They placed their hands into the glowing liquid. The sensation was strange, warm yet tingling, like mild electricity running through her fingers. Kira focused on her knowledge of Aurora shield technology, the principles behind the energy fields that protected their ship. Suddenly her mind filled with images, not her own crystal, lattices pulsing with energy, patterns of light forming impenetrable barriers. Ancient knowledge passed down through generations of Zini scientists. She understood suddenly how the crystal technology worked, how it could be merged with human shield designs. At the same time, she felt Tazara receiving her knowledge, understanding flowing both ways. The meld lasted only minutes, but when they withdrew their hands, they both knew what needed to be done. "It will work," said Tazara, her skin glowing with confidence. "We can create a shield matrix that combines both technologies strong enough to hold until your fleet arrives." Kira nodded, still processing the strange experience of sharing memories. It was like nothing she had ever known, intimate yet focused on specific knowledge. With this new understanding, she could see exactly how the technologies could work together. They moved quickly, Tazara issuing orders to her people, while Kira relayed technical specifications to the Aurora. The ship moved into position above the Crystal City, its shields extending downward to link with the Crystal Defense Network. On the horizon, dark clouds gathered unnaturally fast. The wrecked ship was affecting the atmosphere, creating storms to mask their approach. Kira could feel the tension rising as both humans and Xeni prepared for the coming battle. A loud boom echoed across the sky. The attack had begun. The first attack came as a series of energy pulses raining down from the storm clouds above. The combined shield flared with blue and gold light as it absorbed the impact. The ground shook, but the city remained untouched. "It's working," shouted Beth. Over the rumbling, Kira could see the shield matrix through new eyes. Understanding how the human energy field and Xeni crystal technology were now working in perfect harmony, creating a defense greater than either could achieve alone. The Aurora fired back from orbit, its weapons targeting the wrecked ship hidden in the clouds. Explosions lit up the sky like artificial lightning. Captain Wright's voice came through their communicators. "We're holding them off, but their shields are strong. We need the Xeni defenses to join our attack." Tazara was already coordinating with her military commanders. The tall officer Varen stood at a crystal console, his four hands moving in complex patterns as he activated the city defense systems, crystal towers. Throughout the city began to glow brighter, pulsing with energy. Then beams of concentrated light shot upward, piercing the clouds. A screech of twisted metal echoed from above. "A direct hit," Varen announced, his skin flashing triumphant colors. But the wreck ship remained operational. A new barrage of weapons fire pounded against their shields. The combined matrix held. But Kira could see energy fluctuations growing stronger with each hit. "We can't sustain this level of attack for long," said Tazara, her skin darkening with concern. "The shields are draining our crystal reserves faster than they can recharge." Kira thought quickly, drawing on the knowledge she had gained from the meld. "We need to modulate the frequency," she said. "If we can create a resonance pattern between our shields and theirs." Tazara understood immediately. Her eyes widened like crystal singing. Yes, it could work. The wreck shields use a similar base technology to ours, but without the living crystal component. If we can match their frequency, then amplify it. She turned to Varen. "Prepare the harmonic amplifiers, the ones we use for the spring celebration." Varen looked shocked. "Those are ceremonial, not weapons. They are tools," said Tazara firmly. "Tools we can use to save our people." While the Xeni prepared their harmonic amplifiers, Kira contacted Captain Wright, explaining the plan. The Aurora would need to adjust its shield frequency to match the resonance pattern they were creating. It was a complex maneuver requiring perfect timing. More attacks pounded the shield, the impacts growing stronger. Each hit drained more energy from the crystal network. Kira could see cracks beginning to form in some of the smaller crystals throughout the city. The Xeni people huddled in shelters, their skin pale with fear. Finally, the harmonic amplifiers were ready. Massive crystal structures usually used in religious ceremonies now repurposed as weapons. Tazara stood at the central console, her hands steady despite the chaos around. "Them on my signal," said Captain Wright through the communicator. "We're positioning for maximum effect." The wreck ship had descended lower, its massive black hull now visible through breaks in the storm clouds. It resembled a giant predatory insect, mechanical and menacing energy weapons charged along its surface, preparing for another assault. "Now," shouted the captain. Tazara activated the harmonic amplifiers. At the same moment, the Aurora adjusted its shield frequency. The effect was immediate. A high-pitched tone filled the air, painful even to human ears. For the Zeni, with their more sensitive hearing, it was nearly unbearable. But they held firm, knowing what was at stake. The tone grew louder, focused on the wreck ship. Its shield began to shimmer visibly, as the resonance pattern matched, then amplified its frequency. Like a crystal glass shattered by a perfect note, the wreck shield began to fracture. Energy cascaded across its surface in wild patterns. The Aurora fired all weapons targeting the weakened sections of the enemy shield. The Zeni defense towers joined the attack, beams of concentrated energy striking in perfect coordination. The wreck ship shuddered under the assault pieces of its armored hull breaking away. Its working breathed Kira, watching. As the enemy vessel listed to one side, clearly damaged, but the wreck were not defeated yet. The ship stabilized, turning its remaining weapons toward the city. "Brace yourselves," warned Captain Wright. "They're making a final attack." "Run!" The wreck ship accelerated, suddenly diving toward the Crystal City. Its weapons fired continuously, a desperate all-out assault. The combined shield flickered under the strain. Crystal towers cracked and shattered as they overloaded from channeling too much energy. Tazara stood, resolute, her skin glowing with determination. She placed both sets of hands on the knowledge pool, drawing power directly from the ancient repository. "We will not fall again." Not this time. The pool erupted with light brighter than anything Kira had ever seen. Energy coursed through the entire crystal network throughout the city. The shield flared, rebounding the wreck attack back toward their ship. The enemy vessel couldn't avoid the reflected energy. Its damaged systems failed as its own weapons. Fire struck it. The ship veered off course, spinning out of control. Fire bloomed along its hull as systems exploded. The wreck ship crashed beyond the city boundaries, impacting with a force that shook the ground. Then silence. The storm clouds began to dissipate, revealing the blue-orange sky of Zenith. The combined shield flickered once more, then stabilized, humming with residual energy. "We did it," whispered Beth. Her voice filled with awe. Captain Wright's voice came through the communicator, sounding tired but relieved. "We've neutralized the threat. The wreck ship is down, life signs detected but minimal. No immediate danger. Fleet reinforcements are 8 hours out." Kira turned to Tazara. The Zeni leader looked exhausted, her normally vibrant skin now pale and drawn. The effort of channeling so much energy had taken its toll. But there was triumph in her eyes as she gazed at Kira. "Human and Zeni together," she said. "We have done what neither could do alone." The next few hours were filled with recovery efforts. Despite the shields, some damage had occurred to the outer crystal structures of the city. Injured Zeni were treated in healing chambers, while engineers worked to stabilize the power network. Kira and her team helped where they could, providing medical assistance and technical support. Captain Wright joined them on the surface once the immediate danger had passed. She met with Tazara and the Elder Council to discuss next steps, particularly regarding the captured wreck ship and its surviving crew. Earth fleet would take them into custody when they arrived, ensuring they faced justice for their unprovoked attack. As night fell again, Kira found herself standing with Tazara on a balcony overlooking the city. The damage was already being repaired, crystal structures regenerating with the help of Zeni technology. The twin moons shone overhead, casting silver light across the landscape. "I never imagined our first contact would be so eventful," said Kira, smiling wearily. Tazara made a sound, like gentle laughter. "Perhaps it was meant to be this way," she replied. "A true test of our compatibility as allies." Her skin had regained some of its color, shifting through soft blues and purples. The memory melded the joining of our technologies. It created something new, something neither of our people had alone. Kira nodded, thinking about the implications. "This changes everything, doesn't it? Not just for our two species, but for the galaxy. The Zeni no longer need to hide, and Earth gains an ally. With remarkable technology." Tazara was quiet for a moment, her gaze on the stars above. "I have lived 500 cycles," she said finally. "Long enough to see my people nearly destroyed, long enough to lead them into hiding, and now long enough to see us emerge again because of a simple misunderstanding. A human who hugged when she should have bowed." She turned to Kira, her eyes shimmering in the moonlight. Sometimes the greatest changes come from the smallest actions. The Elder Council has voted, said Tazara. We wish to establish formal relations with Earth, an exchange of knowledge, culture, ideas. We would send representatives to your world and welcome yours to ours. A new beginning for both our peoples. Kira smiled, imagining the possibilities. Humans and Xeni working together. What they might accomplish. The scientific advances, the cultural exchange. The friendship between two species so different yet united by shared values and now shared experiences. I think that's a wonderful idea. She said, and I know just how to seal the agreement. She held out her arms in the human gesture of embrace. Tazara hesitated only briefly before stepping forward into the hug. This time, there was no shock, no misunderstanding. Just two beings from different worlds acknowledging their connection. From the aurora in orbit to the crystal city below, lights glowed against the darkness of space. A beacon of cooperation that would soon shine across the galaxy. The touch that had once caused confusion had indeed changed worlds, bringing together species that might otherwise have remained forever apart. In the vast universe full of danger and wonder, such connections were precious, rare, and worth protecting. And as the first official cultural exchange between Earth and Zenith, Kira taught Tazara how to properly high-five, a gesture that made the Xeni leader laugh like wind chimes in a summer breeze. Sometimes Kira thought the universe has a strange sense of humor. Who would have thought that a diplomatic incident could lead to saving an entire civilization, and perhaps more importantly to friendship across the stars?